see commercial breaks and then sit the whole game on and watch, wait for the.
I'm going to call this meeting the Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Monday, July 15th. We start with the invocation by Sean Allen. Invocation from the Fellowship Bible Church.
Lord, I thank you for this day, just this opportunity to be able to gather. Lord, I pray over each individual that is represented here and who they represent in the city of Oskaloosa. Lord, I thank you for Oskaloosa and what it represents here, and I pray for just the decisions that are made, that wisdom is given, and understanding and grace, and it's in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Caligiuri.
Here.
Drost.
Here.
Moore. Here. Coniston.
Here.
Walling.
Here.
Yates.
Here.
Burnett.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Next item up is the opportunity for the community comments. These are all items, excuse me, the community is encouraged to come and speak before the mayor and council. Asked to keep statements brief. It does not have to be on the current agenda, so whatever's on your mind. Time shall be limited to no more than 3 minutes, however. Any questions should be asked of the city staff or the council members or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council, so that way concerns can be properly researched and answered away from the meeting. Comments should be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item is the consent agenda. These are items that are considered routine by the city council. We're always enacting these sort of things in one motion. The only thing I would draw the council's attention to is item B, which is the appointment of Sharon Hennis to the library board. Do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
Move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I think one question I have with the Dave Schmidt South D payment approval, there's still retainage left to be paid on that, and then landscaping issues and others.
Correct, we're still holding on retainage, haven't looked through all those issues just yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Drost.
Yes.
Moore. Yes. Coniston.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Caligiuri.
Okay, consent agenda passes. Okay, moving into the regular agenda, item A. This one is a resolution levying a special assessment against private property for snow removal by the city. It's within section 12.12 of the city code. This is the time for the public hearing on levying special assessment against private property for snow removal. There's one property at 604 Fifth Avenue West. Certified notice was sent to the property owner and a notice was published in the Oskaloosa Herald. If approved, the property owner will have 30 days from the time of filing with the Mahaska County Treasurer to pay for the snow removal in the city clerk's office. And after the 30 days, it's assessed on the property taxes with a payment schedule at 9% interest. So I'll open the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone who cares to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this resolution levying the special assessment?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Moore. Yes. Coniston.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Caligiuri.
Yes.
Drost.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item B is a resolution levying a special assessment against private property for a nuisance abatement by the city of Oskaloosa. This is in accordance with section 8.08.080 of the city code. Nuisance abatement was performed in accordance with the code on property located at 913 North Market Street. Timeline of events: April 1 of 2019, code enforcement staff received a complaint from neighbors about garbage piled in and around the trailer of the property. Later in the day, staff visited the property to confirm the complaint, citing the property for garbage, as this was the second offense for garbage within a 6-month period. Staff set a time frame of 12 p.m. April 2nd to implement corrective actions. On April 2nd, code enforcement staff revisited the property just before 12 p.m., noticed no change in property conditions, and later that afternoon performed emergency abatement in accordance with Oskaloosa Municipal Code 8.08.080. At this time, the property owner has not provided payment as invoiced, and therefore staff has moved to assess the cost of abatement to property taxes as allowed by city code. So this is the opportunity for a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for a resolution levying the special assessment?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Coniston?
Yes.
Walling?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Moore?
Okay, that passes. Item C, this is a resolution levying a special assessment against private property for a nuisance abatement by the city of Oskaloosa in accordance with section 8.08.080 of the city code. The nuisance abatement was performed on property located at 910 6th Avenue West. Timeline of events as follows. March 1 of 2019, code enforcement staff received a phone call from a concerned neighbor regarding garbage being blown around the yard and nuisance animals rummaging around the garbage at the property. On March 4th, code enforcement staff visited the property and noticed nuisance animals walking on the property as well as animal footprints entering an open door on a secondary structure full of garbage. Staff cited the property for garbage and gave the homeowner until March 8th of 2019 to abate or the city would conduct emergency abatement. On March 18th, code enforcement staff revisited the property and noticed no change. Staff scheduled emergency abatement. On March 21st, the emergency abatement was conducted in accordance with Oskaloosa Municipal Code 8.08.080. At this time, the property owner has not provided payment as invoiced, and therefore staff has moved to assess the cost of the abatement to property taxes as allowed by city code. There is an opportunity for a public hearing here, so I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this?
Yes, I would.
Okay, please come to the microphone. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Kelly Schultz, and I was the deed holder of this property, 910. I've never received any information on this problem. It was contracted by, being bought by contract by Brianna Russell, and I did not have legal possession of the property. I had started foreclosure on her, but did not complete that until March 26th. So the first time I got any information on this was when I got the bill, the invoice on the charges, which was June 20th. So when we talked to Dustin, the timeline sounds right, but I was not notified of any of this. Had I known this was happening, I could have probably taken care of it. And I had to have it come to this. So I'm just not comfortable with the bill, didn't know what we could do to resolve the issue. I have received the property back March 26th, but have since sold that to a neighbor. I don't know if you guys received, we sent an email a week ago on everything.
Yeah, I believe that, I know I did, and I believe the council has received it as well. Again, there, I believe you are asking for the, is it a $1,200 judgment, I
Yes.
believe? You're asking for that to be entirely waived, is that correct?
Mhm.
Is there anything else you would like us to know?
No, I didn't receive the property back. My attorney said I wasn't allowed on the property during foreclosure proceedings, and so I received it back March 26th.
Okay.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Looks like you sold the property on contract in August 2017.
Yes.
Prior to that, did you have it sold to someone else, or was it a rental
It was a
property?
rental.
Rental,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
In your email, if I read this correct, it says due to the city code not being followed, I request, I'll ask either Schultz or our staff,
Mhm.
what specific do you mean when you said we didn't follow
Well, I believe I was supposed to get a certified notice, maybe rather than being posted on the door. I'm not from Oskaloosa, so I don't travel by that property, and did not know anything about the problems until I received the notice of the services.
I guess to our staff, what is our policy or procedure on that?
I'm gonna guess, given that this property had previous violations, it was viewed as a habitual offender, and so the notice is not required. We can take emergency abatement steps, although posting on the doors has been sufficient in the past.
And Doug, if I can speak to that too, what happened, that Ms. Schultz has alluded to foreclosure, that technically that's a misnomer, actually, thank you once again. Technically, that's a misnomer. What had happened here, the property was sold on contract, and then proceedings were instituted and forfeit out the contract. Now, when you have a contract sale, the law says that equitable title actually rests with the contract buyer, and the contract seller simply hangs on basically like a mortgage holder on the thing. So actually, in this situation, the notice that gets posted here, goes to the person in possession, the contract buyer, rather than the contract seller, which is the way that routinely works.
So were the people in the house when the notice was put on the door?
No.
So technically,
If you want to go there, talk, I can.
so technically, this should have gone to,
Well, which would, I'm sorry, cut you
this
off.
should have gone to the person that was on contract, right?
Exactly, and when I look at the,
Is that this Russell person?
yes,
Okay.
and when I look at the sequencing, I believe what Ms. Schultz has indicated was correct. That apparently they had been forfeited out of contract, although the contract forfeiture was not recorded until March 29th, which would of course been after the cleanup, number one. Number two, for a reason I'm not sure I completely understand, but then it looks like the Russells also gave a quitclaim deed back to,
No, that would have been, that quitclaim deed was an ex-husband that received the property in a divorce.
okay, and I see that, okay, you're correct, that's a quitclaim deed from Joseph back to, okay, from your husband, back to you, okay. I see what you're saying with that, okay, thanks.
And Dustin, can you, for our viewing audience, make sure you introduce yourself.
My name's Dustin Hook, I'm the code enforcement officer. I'm the one that performed this emergency abatement. Per our protocol, we give, if we see on the beacon site is what I call it, if I see that it's a contract sale, I send all of my paperwork to both the deed holder as well as the contract holder, because we don't know how that contract is written up. So to cover all of our bases, we send it to both. This instance, I did not see that this was a contract sale, which is why Ms. Schultz is the only one that had received any paperwork on this.
And I guess, so Michael, you indicated that there's been multiple calls for this property. On the other ones, it stated it was the second or third time we went there. On this one, it doesn't state that we've been to this property before. So it's,
If I may, the reason why we performed the emergency abatement the way that I did was because we had sufficient evidence of not just what we consider to be junk or things that shouldn't be left outside. This was actually garbage, and it was being blown around into neighboring properties. So therefore, we have the ability, have the authority to do an emergency abatement with the notice left on the door as sufficient notice. With that, we don't have to send out a letter. We expedite the process to get the nuisance taken care of as quickly as possible.
and I guess my only concern with that, and maybe we gotta look at our internal procedures, but if we gave them to March 8th and it was an emergency, not going back and checking on it till the 18th, that doesn't seem like an emergency to wait 10 days. And then if we checked on the 18th and that was still an emergency that day, we then waited till the 21st, so.
Some of that,
Again, I just, not sure on the timing, certainly open explanation, but I think that's something we maybe need to review if, with what we're deeming an emergency versus not.
sure. And some of that, we had a bunch of snow in between that time as well, so we couldn't actually get vehicles back there, or personnel back there to actually perform the abatement. So to your question, that was a big reason why it took so long, was because of the weather in between that time.
So we went the first day back after the 8th that we filmed.
The first day that it was
Accessible.
accessible, correct.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that explanation.
And again, you have to work with the contractor to get that scheduled, and they do that on certain days. as well.
Correct, correct.
I think for me, the big question here is who's the right party to be assessed at $1,200? The deed holder, who was in contract to sell the property, or the person who's actually in possession of the property on that date. And whether Brianna Russell was living there at the time or not, she still was in possession of the property. And Ms. Schultz didn't have possession of the property until the 26th, or when it's recorded on the 29th, as Maitland said. And I don't know if there's any legal cases to base that off of, or what?
And I suppose with that, typically, obviously, what happens, I mean, we go against the person who is the one, this is not a legal term, but in the driver's seat at that time, if you will. Now, Ms. Schultz ended up with the property, taking it back, of course, after they forfeited out the contract. But the cleanup was all done before that, and when we do that, typically what happens, the assessment is going against the property. It's not per se a judgment, because you don't have a judgment until you actually sue somebody in court. So typically, anytime we have a cleanup, something done like that, it's essentially against the property. And here, once again, at the point in time when this was done, the contract buyer was that person, and then the contract was ultimately forfeited out, and the property went back to Ms. Schultz. But, yeah, once again, at the point in time when this was done, it would have been the contract buyer was the person, and then if somebody's acquiring it later, then actually you're picking up the property at that assessment on it.
So we back up and send it to them.
I can't hear you, Tom.
So we back up, we send it to them, we know they aren't gonna pay, so then does it go on the property tax roll?
No, it would not, because in that situation, say we sue them now to take a judgment. If we sue the Russells, I'm
Then
sorry,
they
that
would
was
owe
it. You would have a judgment, number one. Now, I know nothing about their personal finances, only what I've seen here. I suspect it likely would not be collectible, number one. Number two, a judgment is a lien against any real estate you own or acquire in the next 10 years. So in this situation, if they don't own any real estate, there's no judgment lien. You've got a court order that says you owe money, but having that court order and having money in your pocket, obviously, are different things.
So it's changed hands again, but it already happened, so that won't trip the lien won't get tripped until the next time, right?
Right, the lien, well, if we go ahead, if we were to sue Mr. Russell or the Russells now, any judgment would not be a lien on this property.
No, apparently, the stuff there belongs to Russell's, I'm assuming. But I don't think it falls on Kelly. What's your last name? Schultz. Schultz, all right. That's my view on this. So,
And obviously, I mean, certainly, it's the council's prerogative, obviously, ultimately, you're the decision makers, what you want to do with them. All I would point out is, once again, the procedures were correctly followed at that point in time, insofar as who was appearing as the title holder, because the contract had not yet been forfeited out. So the lien, and since it was all completed, of course, prior to that, would actually be assessment against the property, which is going back to the contract seller. But as I said, it strikes me ultimately that's your determination, whether the council wants to waive that.
But the property's not been sold again, as I understand it. So if this is against the property, then it's not gonna be borne by the new owners.
Which is sold on the neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that's what's gonna roll out.
Which is very similar to what can happen with mowing assessments, sidewalk clearing for snow removal. We've had that happen, and we encourage the realtors in town to check with us before the transactions occur, because it may not get assessed at the time to get recorded before the sale occurs. So we've had this happen before, and have continued the process as outlined in the code. This expense occurred. We got billed by the contractor, so the city has that expense right now.
So, should we be talking to the new owner?
No, I don't want you to talk to the new owner.
Well, no, I know you don't want us to, but I'm just
I
asking,
don't
I'm
want
following
that to be
the rabbit down the hole is all, okay?
Okay.
So my question is,
Well, that's what I asked him. He said they aren't on the hook. That's what I asked him.
The
The new owner.
well, if the assessment comes onto the property, yeah, ultimately, I mean, that's gonna be a lien against the property, then the new owner's gonna have to take care of that. If they don't, they're gonna have a tax issue.
And the new owner will be responsible for it.
Yes.
did you sell on a contract or is it clear and free?
It's clear and free, but
Okay.
I'm not gonna make the new owners pay that. I'm just not gonna do that.
This doesn't sit well, with me. I still think that this Russell person is totally responsible. Period.
But for that to happen,
Why
we're gonna have to
should
go to court
involve the
civil.
new owners?
Yes.
I'll tell you what, that garbage and junk's been there a long time. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
I said it didn't happen overnight, it's been there a long time.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak, or anything else that you would like to say before I close the public hearing?
Same question Tom did, since it's your contractor sign, did you ever go drive by or
No,
inspect
she
it?
paid regularly and I'm not from here, so I never did.
But you wasn't really the owner, it was
It was her.
Russell, so she was the owner. So
Right.
why would you drive by?
Right.
Anything else to be said? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you very much. Let's open it up to the council. We need to have a motion on the floor. The agenda says it's a resolution levying a special assessment. And so regarding that, do I have a motion regarding levying the special assessment against this property? 910 Sixth Avenue West.
And I'll be clear, if we approve and say we're gonna do it, and it goes against the property, and either she's gonna pay it, or the next people who take on the property is gonna pay it.
The
Is
folks
that
who
right?
bought it. Yep.
And Russell is out.
Well, yep. I mean, there would be a cause of action against the Russells, presumably, by Ms. Schultz, I would say.
For which is correct, number one. I mean, in theory, Ms. Schultz could say, okay, look, if I would have to pay this, I'm gonna file a lawsuit against us for deferred contribution, in which event, number one, obviously, there's a filing fee, and there may or may not be attorney's fees, depending on how you do it. And ultimately, as we said, you may, of course, end up with an uncollectible judgment.
Yeah. So do we have a motion regarding the resolution levying a special assessment? Okay, we have one motion.
You need a second action, right?
Right.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Comments?
Go through the motion again and the ramifications.
Okay, so the motion is to levy the special assessment against this property, 910 Sixth Avenue West. If it's not paid, it'll go on their property taxes. And it's for $1,200.
If we don't assess it, the city pays the bill.
Right. Unreimbursed.
And Mayor Council, the action tonight, there's still a 30-day period before it gets assessed onto the property. So they have another chance to pay again. And then if they don't pay us, then we take the information over to the town and then it gets assessed on the property.
So if they don't pay, there is gonna be a lien. And the lien would have to be cleared at the next transfer of that property.
It would go on the taxes, of course, and ultimately, yes, somebody would have to take care of it.
So during that 30-day period, if there's any opportunity, that would be a private matter between,
Well, if it gets paid, then it does not, as Mike's pointed out, it does not get assessed on the tax rolls. So what does that mean? Well, the person's still out, somebody's still out $1,200. If you pay it in that 30-day period, it does not start ticking up any interest, as it's otherwise accrues on assessments. And likewise does not formally become a lien on the property. It's not showing as an assessment against it. but the underlying $1,200 still has to get paid by somebody. But that's not
It should be paid by Russell.
Yeah, should be.
Should be.
And it could be that, you know, if they have a sense of guilt or something like that, and say, yeah, I'm gonna do this,
Yeah.
that's one option.
We're talking about pay here, so.
No, it could happen.
I guess I want to ask a question one more time of the city, because it's either a private citizen pays it or all the taxpayers pay it. This is the two options, and do we feel from reviewing this that we followed our procedures as appropriate? Best we can understand.
Yeah, we've been through these enough that the letters were sent out, the policy that you set forth for us.
So that's why I'm asking,
For
are you
us.
following our policy?
So through our department SOPs, standard operating procedures, everything was done according to, again, there was a gap, we'll allow for that gap. There's things with scheduling, weather-related incidents, things like this, nothing was done.
But they didn't.
So therefore, we followed procedures and sent the abatement letter out, the notice out with the invoice, and that's where we ended up.
But they didn't receive a
You
letter.
didn't do it till June.
No, there was no letter giving them a certain amount of time to get this done. Reason being is because in city code 8.08.080, it says that if it's a legitimate threat to health or safety, which, you know, me being the code officer, I deem this to be a legitimate threat to health and safety with, you know, raccoons, possums, trash being blown around in yards. I deem that to be a threat to health and safety, so I, in turn, decided to do the emergency abatement versus sending out the abatement letter.
Right, and I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think so when it's old, I think there should be a notification process too, even though on whatever the state of emergency is, you know, that a letter should follow up or something. So maybe something we might need to just review our process, because I'm not fully, I'm not going through it all and see the whole thing.
And Mayor and Council, again, we as staff have to balance reacting to people who have piles of garbage that may otherwise stink. If you're living next to that, you're probably gonna want that gone sooner than later, you're probably gonna want it sooner than when we took care of it. So that's been one of the policy directions that you gave me and our staff is to clean up properties. And so we're actively doing that. There are gonna be instances where, and this is a situation where we have contract sales. I'm not a huge fan of that from the rental inspection side to begin with, and you run into these issues. We're trying to do the best we can. I think if we pause to give additional notice in these situations where you have sanitation issues, I think that's gonna be problematic for us.
And I'm not saying to stop, in this situation, stop, you continue on with it, but they should still be notified.
Okay. If Kelly would split it with us, I'd probably go along with that. Other than that, I'm gonna be for putting her on the property taxes. We're gonna have trouble with that house again,
Yeah.
so.
And I have a question, how is this different than if I went out to buy a piece of property and was a lien against it and I wanted it? I'd have to, someone would have to pay that lien off before I could go forward.
Well, that's gonna happen later.
Okay.
Does Kelly want to split it with us?
Yes, I would split it with you.
I can't hear
Yes,
you.
I would split it with you. I definitely don't want the new owners responsible. I think they're gonna tear the property down. It's, honestly not in good shape. But, yes, I would be willing to split the cost.
Then we can do the motion.
Okay.
Again, I think this is a terrible deal for you, just the way the timing worked out and all of that with it being, so I get that. I also am concerned with even with the split, the neighbors that were putting up and called in about it because their taxpayers are not gonna get a paper part of the bill. That doesn't seem right to them. And I mean, it's horrible. I mean, I get it. I just don't know about,
I guess I just think if I had to received notification, I probably could have cleaned it up for less than $1,200. Not that I would have wanted to, but I don't feel that the emergency thing fell into place very well there from March 1st to March 21st. To me, an emergency should be a little faster than that. I get weather and all that stuff, but I guess I didn't know anything about it until I received the certified letter on June 20th.
The whole contract sale timing just was really a fluke deal.
Other comments or questions? What we have before us is the motion and second where we have a resolution levying a special assessment for $1,200 against the property located at 910 6th Avenue West. So I think what I want to do is let's just go ahead and vote on that first. Roll call, please.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
No.
Dross,
No.
Moore,
Yes.
Coniston,
No.
Okay, passes 4-3. Okay, we'll move on. Item D. So consider a resolution levying a special assessment against private property for a nuisance abatement by the city of Oskaloosa in accordance with section 8.08.080. It's a nuisance abatement performed at 610 D Avenue West. Timeline, March 11, code enforcement staff received a complaint regarding trash and junk on the property. It's the second complaint regarding trash and junk within a 6-month period. On March 11th, same day, code enforcement staff visited the property, confirmed the complaint of trash and junk. Staff performed emergency abatement that afternoon in accordance with Oskaloosa Municipal Code 8.08.080. At this time, the property owner has not provided payment as invoiced, and therefore staff has moved to assess the cost of the abatement to the property taxes as allowed by city code. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public, oops.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I guess I'm not public, but just council had a little bit more on what's going on. Completely independent of this, we have filed an action also to take title of this property as an abandoned property, which is pending. That is, once again, completely independent from what's happened here before, but I just mentioned that so the council is aware of what's otherwise going on with this property as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, and right, that would be independent of whether or not we want to do the special assessment.
Right.
So, do we have a motion of support for the resolution levying the special
So
assessment?
moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yates, sorry, Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Walling,
Okay, that passes. Item E, is to consider a resolution approving abatement of city assessments on the property located at 423 North Third Street, where the city obtained title as abandoned property. So pursuant to Iowa Code Section 657A.10A, the city has obtained a judgment to take title to the residential property at 423 North Third Street in Oskaloosa as abandoned property. The award of title to the city by virtue of the court decree has awarded the title free and clear of any claims, liens, or encumbrances. The city does or may hold liens against the premises for unpaid assessments and prior proceedings against the property. For the city to take title free and clear of any assessments for liens for resale, the city has to waive those assessments to abate the liens. So as follows, the City of Oskaloosa Resolution 1807-127, which was dated July 16th of 2018, in the amount of $250 plus $30.95 of interest for nuisance abatement, and the City of Oskaloosa Resolution 18-11-186. That was dated November 19 of 2018 in the amount of $300 plus $28 of interest for weed cutting. Do we have a motion to support approving the abatement of those two city assessments?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item F is a resolution approving an amendment to the final plat for the Marge Edition, Plat 5. The preliminary and final plat for the Marge Edition, Plat 5, was previously considered and approved by the City Council at the meeting on April 2nd of 2018 and on October 1st of 2018 respectively. The property is located south of 15th Avenue East and between South 5th Street and South 2nd Street. The final plat has an area of approximately 27.67 acres, consists of 12 residential lots, 4 outlots, and public right-of-way. The previously approved final plat required the developer to install new customized streetlights, and the homeowners association were required to maintain them. However, the developer has changed the plans to purchase and install streetlights from Mid-American Energy Company. The purchase price for the streetlights from Mid-American Energy includes the maintenance of the streetlights. Therefore, the developer is requesting the council to remove the stipulation for the ownership and maintenance of the new streetlights. The developer also recently found minor errors in the legal description prior to recording of the previously approved final plat. Therefore, the developer is also requesting the City Council approve correction of the minor errors in the legal description. Planning and Zoning Commission at the meeting on July 2nd of 2019 unanimously approved by a vote of 6 yes, 0 no to approve the amendment to the final plat. Staff is recommending City Council approve P&Z's recommendation. So do we have a motion of support for this resolution approving the amendment to the final plat?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Good question. It says Mid-America's gonna maintain them. I thought they quit doing that. They don't do the ones now, the grandfather ones, do they?
No, they do. Mid-American, as long as it's built into the bill that we receive for streetlights, they'll maintain.
Okay. And the second question is, are these still underground wiring, I assume, to that development?
Yes.
Not gonna be
It's not
overhead?
over- that's buried, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good questions. Any other discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Dross,
Abstain if filing the application.
Moore,
Yes,
Addison,
Yes.
Wally,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item G. is to consider, consider a resolution amending Oskaloosa Housing Code, Oskaloosa Housing Trust Fund, first-time homebuyer program plan. Over the past several months, the Oskaloosa Housing Trust Fund Committee has reviewed its existing housing assistance programs. The first-time homebuyer assistance program has seen declining participation since its peak in 2004 and is rarely utilized today in its present form. The committee has discussed revisions to increase participation by making the program more attractive to qualified homebuyers while retaining minimum qualifications. Attached are proposed amendments to the program plan. The notable changes are, first, the form of assistance will change from a $3,500 loan to a $2,500 forgivable grant, with no expectation of repayment if the home isn't sold for 5 years. The second is if the home is sold within 5 years, the grant would be repaid on a prorated basis. Third, the program would be valid for 1 year only, fiscal year 2019 and 20, and it would be reviewed at that time for modifications, continuance, or termination. Fourth is, in order to be eligible, the participant's household income cannot exceed the Iowa Finance Authority's Homes for Iowans Plus program, that income limit, and not utilizing any other assistance program. Number 5, the assistance will be paid from the Oskaloosa Housing Trust Fund's Fund 138, which is the housing donated funds until it's depleted. Then paid from Fund 140, which is the housing fund going forward. And then finally, the program plan includes a cap of no more than 10 grants per year. Proposal is consistent with the fund's original goals to recruit residents, increase home ownership, and increase housing supply by way of a new construction or rehabilitation. At their June 27, 2019 meeting, the Oskaloosa Housing Trust Fund Committee unanimously approved by a 6-0 vote a recommendation to City Council that the amended program plan be approved, subject to completion of the appropriate administrative documents. Staff concurs and also recommends approval. Do we have a motion supporting this resolution?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on it? There's a question that entered my mind that, so let's say, person, they get the $2,500 forgivable grant. they hang on to it in year one. Do we issue some sort of 1099 or some other way of acknowledging that there's a prorated portion that's been forgiven?
I think that's possible. We need to work out the administrative details on it, but I suspect we could get into that,
Yeah.
with this.
It's just something that I've seen done with forgivable loans, that it's just an area that I think we have to be in compliance with the IRS on.
I've never record of it.
Yep.
Will this be available in addition to the, was it the Homes for Iowa's first-time homebuyers program?
Yes.
They have the same thing, I believe, the $2,500 grant that's available. So first-time homebuyer could potentially get $5,000.
Yeah, if they were to qualify for both, yes.
Thank you.
This was the first time home buyer. There's two programs.
No, and that's what's a little bit confusing on the fourth bullet point, where it says that, here's the household income, but you don't utilize any other assistance programs. So that must be in terms of income, or are we talking about assistance for a home buyer?
Yeah, this is talking about assistance for home buyer, but the Iowa Finance Authorities, it defines the qualification limits in this, rather than create our own, we would follow their program.
Okay.
And then they would not be eligible to apply for any other local assistance or other regional programs as well.
Okay.
But this is the second, first-time home buyers program that's available, so you said they could get it twice.
Well, this would be the only local program that's available, right, and then there are other state programs that, if they could qualify for both, and I'm not sure that they could, they're still available, yes.
Okay. Another what-if scenario.
A lot of what ifs.
So the employer I work for offers a home buyer assistance loan. And so if one of our employees were to apply for this, would that prevent them from being able to do it from their employer as well?
I believe that it would.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Wally,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item H is a resolution approving the preliminary plat for the Ironwood Place subdivision. Resolute Development Group, LLC, has submitted a preliminary plan application for Ironwood Place subdivision located west of South H Street between 9th Avenue West and 11th Avenue West. The proposed subdivision has an area of approximately 7.48 acres, consists of 28 residential lots, one outlot for a common area, and one lot to be designated as public right-of-way. The proposed plat is zoned in an R2, which is Urban Family Residential Zoning District. The proposed development includes a 26-foot wide cul-de-sac street named as Ironwood Drive, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main utility improvements. The proposed plan also includes a 5-foot wide sidewalk along 11th Avenue West and 9th Avenue West, and a 10-foot wide multi-use recreational trail along South H Street. The developer would like to partner with the city by equally splitting the expenses towards the construction of the new multi-use recreation trail. Staff would like to note that the 50-foot wide for the proposed public street right-of-way does not meet the minimum required right-of-way width of 60-foot and 69.5-foot width for 5 parcels, lots numbers 1 through 5 along 9th Avenue West. Doesn't meet the minimum required lot width of 70 foot. Oskaloosa Municipal Code, section 16.04.130 and 16.04.310 allows Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council to reduce the above requirements because the strict application of those requirements would result in a hardship. Staff is recommending that this modification be approved for the minimum lot width and the right-of-way width because this modification will be in harmony with the spirit of the code and surrounding area and protects the public welfare and interests of the community. Planning and Zoning Commission at the meeting on July 2nd, 2019, recommended by a vote of 5 yes to 0 no to approve the preliminary plat with the modification for the minimum lot width and the right-of-way width. Do we have a motion supporting this preliminary plat?
So moved.
Any discussion on this?
I have one question, Keelis could probably answer it, but, the 10-foot wide recreation trail, will that be similar to the situation on South D with, as far as maintenance goes?
Yes.
Or will that be at the homeowners?
It's gonna be it'll be part of the connected trail system, so it'll be ours as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any idea what the cost of that is, or splitting cost at this time?
I think we get into that.
Now we get into the next one.
9,500 is ours.
Gotcha. I missed it.
No, it's coming.
Yeah, well, I read over it.
Our share is $9,000.
Other thoughts, questions? Roll call, please.
Coniston?
Yes.
Wally?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item I, this is to consider a resolution approving the final plat for the Ironwood Place subdivision. I've already described where it's located at. The second paragraph, the proposed plan includes new 5-foot wide sidewalks along 11th Avenue West and 9th Avenue West, and a new 10-foot wide multi-use recreation trail along South 8th Street adjacent to Lot 6 and Lot 1. And the developer would like to partner with the city by equally splitting the costs for the trail. Public improvement for sidewalks and trails have not been completed yet, and so therefore staff is recommending that the council require the developer to provide financial security in the amount of $36,930 for the public improvements. If the city does participate in installing the rec trail, then the city's expense would be approximately $9,500. Planning and Zoning Commission at their meeting on July 2nd of 2019 unanimously recommended by a vote of 5 yes to 0 no to approve the final plat with the following stipulations. First, the construction plans for the public improvements have to be reviewed and approved by the City of Oskaloosa Public Works Department. Second, install the sidewalks within 3 years of recording the final plat and provide a financial security in the amount of $36,390 to ensure installation of the sidewalks. I just recognized a variance in my description above and one in item 2. The second paragraph says it's $36,930 and then $36,390. So we clarify that before we have the vote?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, anyway, item 3, the easements for the sidewalk and the multi-use rec trail will need to be reviewed and approved by the City of Oskaloosa Public Works Department. 4, all the parcels along 11th Avenue West must have shared vehicular driveway access. Number 5, the common area for Lot 1 has to be owned and maintained by the homeowners association. The maintenance covenants of the common area for Lot number 1 must be provided to the City of Oskaloosa Public Works Department. So, do we have a motion supporting everything except for the question mark on what the dollar amount of the financial security is? Okay. Okay, there's the second.
In the resolution, it says $36,390. I don't know if that confirms the other or not, but.
Okay, which the resolution probably would carry the day. So, does that jive with your records, Akilesh?
I'm trying to find, sorry, my internet is slow, but, sorry, I'm not able to verify that at this time, so.
While you're looking at each other question, what does it mean to have shared vehicular driveway access off 11th Avenue West?
So you have two houses, having a single driveway,
Okay,
so that's a shared driveway.
gotcha, okay.
It improves the safety.
So instead of having a driveway for every house, you have a driveway for every other house, basically. Okay.
Ask somebody else a question. Keys is trying to look up there.
I thought I was giving some time, so.
36,930.
There you go.
So the resolution wording needs to be 36,930.
1 out of 3.
Okay. So with that, other adjustment, any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Wally?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Coniston?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item J, this is to consider an ordinance amending Oskaloosa Municipal Code, Chapter 10.24 regarding stop and yield requirements. This is the second reading. Staff is proposing new stop signs to facilitate the ongoing subdivision developments at Marge Addition and Gateway Commercial Park. The proposed stop signs are intended to improve traffic flow and safety as these areas are being developed. Installation of new stop signs requires changes to the Oskaloosa Municipal Code, and the location of the stop signs is listed below. We've got 4 bullet points here. The stop sign for the eastbound and westbound vehicles at the intersection of South 2nd Street and Marge Court and Greenbelt Drive. Second is the stop sign for the eastbound vehicles at the intersection of 17th Avenue East and South 5th Street. Next is the stop sign for the westbound vehicles at the intersection of 17th Avenue East and Greenbelt Drive. And finally, a stop sign for the eastbound vehicles at the intersection of Gateway Drive and Coal Mine Loop. Staff is recommending the City Council approve the second reading of the ordinance as presented. I believe council members Drost and Burnett had to abstain last time. Is that, you didn't have to? No. Nope, okay. Very good. So, do we have a motion of support?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Moore. Yes. Coniston,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Okay.
I've wanted a couple of stop signs for a long time, so thank you.
Okay, now we're getting into the easy stuff. Item K is the annual report on the Oskaloosa's rental housing program. So Sean Christ and Jason Van Osdal.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'm Sean Christ, Development Services Director here with the City of Oskaloosa. And I was going to say hi in the back of the room with both of my team members, but now I have Jason Van Alsdal behind me with Iowa Inspections, and also Mike Flav, the City of Oskaloosa building official in the audience with me this evening. They are the experts on this matter, but I'm going to take you through the majority of this presentation. So everybody should have in their packet a copy of the 2019 annual report. That's for the Rental Housing Inspection Program. There's a lot of detail in there. There's only 2 pages, but still a lot of detail, a lot of numbers. And rather than take you through all of that, what I did was put together just a few slides here that I'll take you through, and then also give Jason an opportunity to show you some of his observations, most common violations, and photographs. So why don't we just start briefly with an overview, and a lot of this will be as a reminder, I suspect, to most of you. The purpose here, first and foremost, is to provide a safe and sanitary housing environment for the residents of Oskaloosa. We have minimum standards for homes and living environments. They're all codified in our ordinances, so the purposes of our inspections is to go through the checklist of what we think the minimum safe and sanitary conditions should be in these households. And we've been through a lot. So we're now 2 years into the program. We started this in July 2017. You might remember just over a year ago, there was an audit report completed. And I think there was a subcommittee of a few of you on that group. There are a few recommendations that came out of that audit report, and those have all been implemented and are working very well. And there will be no more audits going forward. What you will see is what we're doing this evening. You'll receive an annual report summarizing the activities for the prior 12 months, and we'll continue going that as we move forward. So here are the numbers. I promised just one slide. So this is our progress. We have 711 properties registered at this time, 1,667 dwelling units within those properties. And I know I'm supposed to just show you the numbers for the last 12 months, but we're 2 years in, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the first year and second year, because it's kind of nice to see the comparison. So in the first year, this is 2017, 2018, we inspected 288 properties containing 524 dwelling units. 157 of those properties passed the first inspection, and 123 properties passed the second inspection. That was our first year of activity. And you compare that to our second year, 323 properties inspected, 681 units, within those properties. 249 passed that first inspection, which is quite a bit more, and then 46 properties passed the re-inspection. So you can see we're inspecting more units, and more of those properties are being passed as part of that first inspection. So we could probably attribute that to, perhaps property owners are becoming more familiar with the program, they're more prepared, there's less to worry about when they're passing the first inspection. You could also attribute that to, and I believe this as well, that we're becoming more proficient in what we do. Inspectors are more familiar with the program, There's been more education, we do annual training programs, so everybody just generally is more familiar with the way things work, and we're able to just do more units every year. So what's left? We're 2 years in, we have 100 properties left, 462 dwelling units, that's what remains to be inspected, and I think we're well on track to get those done within the next coming year.
Mayor, Council, we also, at your direction, tackled the worst first. And so I think that also, as Jason lived through,
Yep.
I think that also could have contributed to some of the disparity in those numbers we were going to.
Thank you. So we have a list here of the most common violations, and I suspect you've seen probably most of these when you did your annual audit last year. And rather than go through these, what I think I'll do at this point is I'll turn it over to Jason if he has any comments on the most common violations. And I think the next few slides after this are some photos that he provided that he can take you through as well.
Thank you, John. Jason Donato, Ohio Inspections. I provide the rental property inspections. My son Harrison and I do all of your rental property inspections, and this has been what I would term as a very successful program. Councilman Walling pulled me aside after the vote a couple of years ago, and he said, Jason, the success or failure of this program rides on your shoulders. Thanks for that. I would also go on to say that the success of this program has not went unnoticed by other communities, and it is being emulated by others, and that's a great form of flattery for the council, so it's good. We have a lot of properties that we do inspections for, and they are exactly what we expect to see when we get out there, and they are every time, praised for. We talk to the tenants, we talk to the landlords. And just so you know, when we see that out there, the good, bad, and the ugly, we're talking to them. We're communicating with them on what we expect to see, thanking them for what they do before we get there, their efforts, the money that they put into their property for painting, for pressure washing. I assume that you see it as you're driving around town, but there are lots and lots of improvements. I saw today, as hot as it has been, a lot of people are working on their homes, and it's a team effort. I mean, and you're a part of this team. You voted for this program that has put a lot of boots on the ground in town to uplift the housing stock in this community. Mike and Sean and I and other staff members as well. But it is definitely a team effort, and we appreciate your support. What we see out there in the field is just a mishmash of different items and things that need to be addressed. They receive these packets of information, the policy, the ordinance, the checklist, our contact information. We definitely want them to reach out, them as being the property owners, to talk about their properties with us. If they have a question in the field, we want to have them be able to email, text, call, and I get them all. And that's exactly what I want. I want them to take a picture of it. I even get FaceTime sometimes. Hey, is this gonna pass? That's what we want. Before we get out there in the field, Jason, what are you looking for? And so that small town feel of maybe a handrail is needed or not. Is this step gonna pass? We want that to happen. The flip side is, we've implemented this since day one. If we have, I would call it a minor infraction in the field, and you probably heard about this in town. If we have a minor infraction, we're not gonna fail it. We want to put that small town feel into that and say, John Doe, get that taken care of. I had it done today, actually. Get that taken care of, shoot me a picture, send it to me, and I can, through my iPad, approve that and get it taken care of right then and right there. And that works out very well. So that kind of a twist on it makes things a little more palatable. Getting back to what Sean had laid out here, walking egress is a big thing that we see out there in the field. We want the fire department and the police to be able to come in and out of that bedroom. Those young people, maybe with disabilities or whatever, to be able to freely open up a window and get out of that secondary form of egress. GFI outlets are something that's often talked about, and we're looking for that overall protection through the GFI outlet, a GFI breaker, or a GFI outlet in a different bathroom to protect that outlet. So we talked through all of those items with those property owners. You're seeing a lot of peeling paint, pressure washing, exterior maintenance things happen as you're driving by community or different properties in town. And that's what we want to see. We want to see those nuisance that we talked long and hard about at the beginning of this meeting. That falls on us.
when we're doing rental property inspections, it happens at the curb line. When I get out of the car, I've got a good feeling if it's gonna pass or not. And in the early days of the program, I think we had 88 failures in a row. My son asked me, he said, "Dad, are we ever gonna pass a property? What's going on here?" But you know what, we got over that power curve, and I think we're doing great, and things are going well. Do you have any questions about that slide, about things that we're seeing out in the field?
The checklist you mentioned, that we created about 2 years ago, is that still up to date, nothing's been added to it?
Up to date. I would go kicking and screaming to change that. We want that to be, we put a lot of thought and effort into it, including the fire department guys, to put together a really good comprehensive checklist. They're used to that. That they know on their other properties what to look for and what to fix. So we don't want to go changing the game.
And it's off the checklist?
Off that checklist, yep. Yeah, and when we come back for a reinspection, I had a lady ask me this today, we had a landlord meeting today at 4 o'clock, 2 people. She asked, she said, well, you're gonna come back and you're gonna find a few more things. And I assured her, man, that's not what we're gonna do. That's not what we do. You had a list of things, this is what we're gonna look for on the reinspection, and that's what we're gonna do. So.
And there's also on that checklist, if I recall, anything that's safety related or something, it's more open. So if you find something that you know it's a safety hazard, it's
Right,
not
we need to
word
get
for word on the checklist, then that would be a.
Yeah, that's not a minor infraction, we need to get that taken care of. Yeah. So. Oh, yes, my pictures. We won't go into detail on where these are at, but this is stuff that we see out in the field, you know. These aren't old pictures. So, you can see the, I call them creative wiring. We actually had a panel hanging from a floor joist in the middle of a basement last week, and I've never seen that before either. But you see this brother-in-law wiring that happens in homes quite often, and we want that to be safe. The open flow of water going in behind that subcavity there, that's a mold hazard waiting to happen, and those poor people that live down below them. So, all right. We call this what's the PC? An unnecessary fire load, otherwise known as hoarding. We see it a lot. I saw it this week actually. It's troublesome to walk into. It's troublesome to know that people are allowed to live that way, and that's a behavior change. And so when you're training your employees how to handle that, it's a delicate situation because they're anxious before they get there. And we want those people to change that behavior. That doesn't happen overnight. We know that when we go back for the reinspection, it's probably not going to pass in either. But letting those landlords going in, this is just more of the same. You couldn't even walk into that basement there to the left. That was from the stairs. So that's where everything was chucked from the bottom stairs, how they did that. But letting those property owners who are ultimately responsible for those properties, that they need to do monthly checks on those properties, keeping them up to date. That's what we want. We want that behavior of those tenants to change. And so we have to have that conversation, and oftentimes I tell them, let me be the bad guy. I don't have any friends anyway, so just throw me clear. Jason's never going to pass this. Just throw it right on me, and that's what they like. They don't, because they have to deal with them every day, and I don't. So let them know that Jason's never going to pass it, so you got to get this cleaned up, and it works. So, yeah. So there's a lot of properties, and not just in this community. Every single community has this kind of situation going on. And so we have to address these one by one and work through this. And you're seeing the word spread. You're seeing the word spread, not just among the rental property owners. If this property's gonna clean up, if he's putting some effort into it, I think we have paint, or something like that. That kind of thing spreads, and that's good. That's what we want. So, questions, folks? Any recommendations for future?
I'm seeing nothing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Well done.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and right along that line, next up is the second quarter code enforcement report.
Council, Mr. Mayor, it's been a been a good second quarter. We've been awfully busy, wet spring, a lot of fast-growing grass, so been awfully busy. Goal of the program, just like he mentioned as well, make Oskaloosa more aesthetically pleasing. Working with property owners whose properties are out of code, working with them to rectify the issues and get them back in compliance. Second quarter, dilapidated structures, focused on that fairly heavily this quarter. We've got 21 that I wrote up, 7 have passed, or 7 have been closed. Most of those 7 are fairly easy fixes. This takes some time, it takes months and months sometimes to get these issues fixed. Had some brush piles, some dangerous trees around. We got most of those closed, still working on a few of them. Hard surface parking, I know Sean had mentioned to me one day that people love to park in their yards here in town. So we've got 56 of those, we've closed 40 of them, there's still a few of them out there that I have written up just prior to making this slide, so that's why you're seeing a little bit of discrepancy there. Garbage, and then what we consider junk is anything that is not meant to be outside of the elements, say a mattress or a couch or something like that. We had 81 violations, we closed 52 of those. Still working with some property owners trying to get that fixed. Grass, like I said, we had 98 total violations. 87 were closed. Again, a lot of those were just prior to making this slide. We had a few illegal burning complaints. We got those taken care of. For a total of 269 total complaints for this quarter. We've closed 195 of those, so we're well on track to get most all of them closed here pretty soon. 72.4% of all violations have been closed without any further action from the city attorney. Trying to be proactive and get these fixed before we have to send a bill or have legal costs incurred by the property owner. Some quarter projects, this is 316 North Market. This stemmed from a complaint that I had received. The owner said that they were getting ready to move. I gave her the citation, stopped by a few days later, she had it all cleaned up. So that made a huge difference. Another quarter project, 411 North Market. I actually cited this property for grass, and as I went up, noticed a bunch of stuff on the front deck, so we got this one taken care of as well. Another one, 1107 A Avenue East. Again, this is what we consider junk, things that are not supposed to be sitting outside. You see a couch and a table there. But the property owner actually made contact with me and told me they were going to get this fixed. So I gave them a couple extra days to get it done, which they did. 916 South C. I noticed this way down the road, so I stopped by to see what the issue was. You can see a large pile of stuff laying on the ground. Next few days, they had it all cleaned up. Long-term projects. This is a project that had been going on for quite some time. 2005 Carbonado Road. You see some before pictures. On 5/13 of 2019 is when we conducted one of our days of abatements. You can see a picture on the right. It's a complete night and day difference. Some more pictures. This is up by their shed up the hill. Again, we cleared out most all the junk. There's some trees that were actually growing up inside some crates, so we had to remove some trees to get some of this stuff out of the way.
Is there any oil in those barrels?
No, those barrels were empty. Again, this was a building that he said he had sitting on the ground. Most of the wood was completely rotten. So we got what we could, and he covered up the rest of it, made it look a ton better. Another before and after, they had a camper sitting there. It had been there for quite some time. The wheels were half buried in the dirt. So we had Bill and Ray's actually had to come get a bigger truck to get this out of there. So we got that camper taken care of as well. There were multiple cars for the boat, some other trailers that we had taken out of as well. This case, like I said, this is a long-term project. This case was open for 17 months from right up until the abatement. They were written up on December 28, 2017, and the abatement was performed on May 13th and 16th of 2019. Reason for the discrepancy in the days is because I think the 14th we had a major rainfall, and where we were doing the abatement, we would risk tearing up their yard even more than we did, and damaging equipment. So we decided to hold off a few days to let it dry up. Total dollar amount on this abatement was $9,983.46. Now $8,412.33 went to Midwest Sanitation for their efforts to clean up all the debris. $1,222.50 went to Bill and Ray's, again for the camper, multiple vehicles, multiple trailers. And then $348.63 went to court enforcement staff time. That just includes the actual abatement dates. There's an untold number of hours that were spent checking, rechecking. But the abatement took a total of 12.5 hours to complete over a 2-day period, so we spent quite a bit of time out there.
And Mayor Council, this was a court-ordered abatement that we received after, and so when it's open for 17 months, that's part of that process, is wrapping up the legal proceedings to get the authority to move forward with it.
And with that too, there was a long history, of course, initially it was filed back then in December of 17. We then filed it for action in spring of 18. We had a meeting with the property, we agreed to discuss it with the council to the formal extension. It was not done, we had a hearing, we prevailed, they moved to set aside the court. Took some time to rule, finally, denied the motion to set aside. And even then, some additional time was given before we which was never accomplished before the city went on.
So then, before I ask any questions, please finish.
My third core goals, we're going to continue to work, focus on those dilapidated structures. There's a lot of them around town. Trying hard to get those cleaned up, but again, those are a long-term goal or long-term project. And then continue to work with people. Trying to find that balance of, okay, you need to get this issue fixed. Work with you to give you a little time to accomplish that. Still trying to find that balance there. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different abilities. So continuing to work with people and find that best solution. Any questions or comments?
I just had one regarding the Carbonado Road project. So we've got the dollar amounts here for Midwest Sanitation, Bill and Ray, the $348 for code enforcement staff just on the abatement days. Do we put some of the other of our efforts into a bill, and have we invoiced this yet? Because it just seems like that's a little light. I understand, an $8,400 bill for just the sanitation folks being involved, but I'm wondering if we're capturing all of our costs on this.
No, we're not capturing all of our costs on this, Mayor Council. Again, this is a pretty big hit for them, and I think we're trying to balance that. That's a big assessment that would be against that property. So again, I think we understand that the time invested by staff, that's a sunk cost in a lot of ways, but the benefit for the neighborhood, it far exceeds what we might recoup in a few extra $100 or a few $1,000s. Really, we want the problem cleaned up. I think that's the problem. We want the problem cleaned up, we want the neighbors to be relieved of that issue, and we want to move on. If we can recoup the cost for the contractors, great, that's what we want. Obviously, yes, we'd love to operate cost recovery programs, but I think in code enforcement, nuisance enforcement, you're not always going to get that, as we saw with some of our recent items tonight.
Yeah.
It just isn't always going to be something that you do.
Has an invoice been sent yet?
Yes, I've sent, she actually contacted me today about that.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Very good. Other questions?
I did, but it was for the prior presentation, I didn't remember what the question was.
Well, Dustin, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Well done.
appreciate your effort.
On item M, this is discussion and possible action authorizing the mayor or the city manager to execute a side agreement letter with the Oskaloosa PPME Police. They are proposing a change to current scheduling for sworn staff. The union would like to move to 12-hour shifts on a trial basis for approximately 5 months, August through January. The union has presented a draft proposal for the city's consideration. It's premised on the change being cost neutral to the city. The initial PPME police proposal is attached to this item for review. The proposed language revisions are not included at this time as they're being reviewed by city legal counsel. The city staff continues to work with legal counsel to ensure legal conformity and eliminate unintended consequences for any changes under the proposal, such as financial costs or if there's a shortage of hours, compliance with FLSA requirements, etc. Management's intent is to have the final details worked out for the side agreement letter within the next week. However, the next regularly scheduled city council meeting doesn't occur until after the desired 12-hour schedule would be implemented. So staff is recommending the city council approve a motion authorizing the mayor or city manager to execute cost-neutral side letter agreement for 12-hour shifts with the Oskaloosa PPME Police Union upon final concurrence from the city's legal counsel. Do we have a motion supporting this?
So moved. Right.
Okay. Any discussion?
What do you think, chief?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did you ever work in 12-hour shifts?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, I have.
Okay.
This is kind of the way that most smaller departments are going to. It's easier for management and for the staff to deal with. Very regular schedule. Many of the people who have left their department, a very common complaint has been the 8-hour shifts that have never changed. Month to month, they never really know what they're doing. They can't plan with their families far ahead. This would allow much more regular rotation and allow for supervision from many supervisors, which would be wonderful.
So I take it you support this?
Thank you.
Other comments or questions?
Roll call. That's the first trial, we'll try it.
Yep. Roll call, please.
Calgery,
Yeah.
Ross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets to the end of the regular agenda. Did you think that would ever happen? Items from city staff, city manager.
Mayor and Council, as you can see in the agenda packet itself, there were 2 memos addressed to me from staff, which I've shared with you, and that had to do with the concerns that were raised by Mr. Bowie at the last council meeting. In the memos, we did try to provide some detailed explanation as far as what the staff was doing for activities, if it had to do with the street sweeper, or if there were dead trees or ash trees, to explain our programs that exist, or why or how we might operate in a way that's strategic. Yes, the street sweeper does go up and down D Street a lot because that's where our facility is, but we do try to strategically locate dump trucks so that that vehicle isn't always going back and forth across the city. Just would put a couple other notes. We do have a sidewalk assessment program where we do go outside and around the community, look at certain sections. We've been trying to focus in on areas that might have higher pedestrian levels or activity. Do an assessment on them. The condition of that sidewalk is in good shape or not. If it's not, it doesn't meet code, then we send out notices and the property owners have the ability to correct the deficiencies, or we hire a contractor to do that work. So that's addressed in this. And then there's a litany of properties that were submitted for review, and our staff has made notes that they've either are in process or they were being addressed, actually, or had been addressed. So that's in here. This information was also shared with Mr. Bowie today, I believe, at a meeting that you had here at City Hall as well, correct? Yes. So I just wanted to pass that information along to you.
Okay. Yeah, we mentioned in item number 2 that we had 241 trees that were removed from the public right-of-way. And of those, I think, let's see, 100 and some of them, 130 were ash trees. in our inventory of ash trees. What kind of progress is that?
I believe I know we've completed the priority ones. I think we were mostly through priority 2 and moving on to priority 3, which would be the smaller ash trees.
I think I've mentioned it in the letter there. I think there's only 17 more trees left. They're almost smaller trees. So the priority, the major ones that were big and hazard were all removed.
Within the public right.
In the public right.
We understand there are private property issues.
Right. There's a couple of trees, and I'm sure you've seen these, actually dead trees in the right of way. Are those also involved with the removal of the, other than the ash?
If there are other dead trees, yes, that's also in the place. But yeah, the first priority that we had was primarily dead ash trees.
The other item, Mayor, Council, that I point out to you is if you haven't met Kelly Hefner, who's in the audience tonight, and Kelly's the new wastewater and sewer, or excuse me, water and sewer general manager for the Oskaloosa Municipal Water Department. Happy to have Kelly on board. He has a ton of work ahead of him, and looking forward to working with him. So if you haven't said hello, please do so.
Welcome, Chief. Welcome.
Good to see you, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
From the city clerk's office.
Nothing.
Okay, from the city attorney, anything?
Kelly, thank you.
Okay, moving on from city council members. Mr. Drost, anything?
Yes, sir.
Joe?
Yes, question, and I've asked them like this. Those, I don't know how many times I get asked this question. On the west side of town, if you drive in, you got the leaning light poles, you know, if you drive into town, the street lights. Is there any way we can, do we own those, or is that made to your knowledge?
Mayor, Council, I know we were working on an inventory with Mid-Am. I don't know, Keelish, if those were in.
So I don't know which one you're referring to, the one on Highway 432, right before you reach Highway 432?
I think this one's right in front of that, business down the bottom there,
It's near Hawkeye.
no, the opposite side.
The rental place?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, maybe,
Yeah, there's a light pole there, I believe, that leans, just that general area.
So we thought that's Mid-American, but they came back and said it's not there, so.
Of course.
So.
So we'll have to work on that, Councilman Croucher.
Can't paint them.
While we're at it.
Right.
Well, the problem is, there's other utilities on those poles. It took me a year and a half to get 3 poles pulled on Carbonated Road, trying to chase down who really owned the pole. And the only thing I can say about Mid-Am, they seem to really know who the owners are. Now, they can prove that, I don't know.
So they are doing an audit this year. They have hired a company and doing an audit, so hopefully we'll have an accurate result by the end of this year.
Okay. Anything else, Joe?
No.
Diane?
No, thank you.
Sally?
No, thank you.
No, sir, thank you.
all good.
Okay. I just wanted to make a shout out, thanks to the chamber and also everyone who was involved with the Christmas in July event that was happening this last week. Walking around the square, getting in there with the airborne snow that was being manufactured over on the west side of the square, or the bandstand, that walked past one kid in the splash pad area who was complaining the water was awfully cold. And I think that was the intent. So, but the kids were having a lot of fun with that in the yard games. Just nice to see all the families that were out. It was a warm day, but yet it was a great opportunity to go out, do the things that we do as a community well. Just really enjoying each other's company, enjoying the town that we live in. The music coming from the stage I thought was outstanding. The number of times I went through there, and then 30 barbecue contestants in there. So it's amazing when you buy the little $10 ticket how fast you can fill up on some really good barbecue. In particular, what came out of the fire department. But I really enjoyed that a lot. But anyway, just very, very pleased that that sort of event could happen, and it really does help the culture of the city. So with that, I guess I'm ready to adjourn.
Hey, Mayor, just a quick point of clarification. The police department's team ended up winning.
Ours was still good though.
boat just falling.
Yeah. The humility of the police chief is so noted. And not grinding that in. The city manager, however, did feel the need to.
I gotta work with him too.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.